everybody, and welcome to the Super Atheist Friends collab. Super Atheist Friends. This is the biggest collaboration video I have ever done. I've been on YouTube for a long time. Nothing like this has ever happened, so please click the description. You'll see all the creators that participated in this. You can click on their links, subscribe to them. What we did is we each filmed a reaction to some crazy religious commentary and sent it to each other. So there's 9 of us, and there are 9 videos. You have to go to each channel to see every single clip that I made, and vice versa for all of us. We all did the thing. Super Atheist collab. The clips that I got for this video are really good and really funny. Things like everybody knows there's a God, giants are real, Ray Comfort as well, you know. He's Ray Comfort. How temptation was actually created to help you out. Matt Walsh rage bait. And then there's me reacting to a woman bashing other women for not being exactly like her. Some guy actually making atheism sound really fun while trying to argue that there is a God. All things morality and even more evidence that God is real. You're gonna love this video. You're gonna love the other 8 videos that are out there. Please click every single one of them in the description. Subscribe to everyone, support all of these amazing channels, and I'll see you guys at the end. Peace.
I didn't think that that day would ever come.
Really?
There were times that I thought you were this close, and then a week later, I think you're a million miles away.
Yeah.
So here we have Eric Hovind interviewing someone who claims that they used to be an atheist.
Oh,
Bill,
wow.
how would you put that into words? What would you say? Is it like, okay, I knew there had to be something, there was too much going against. How would you verbalize these last couple months, your crisis of faith from atheism to theism?
It just was a lot of thinking and research. Like I spent about 20 hours a week watching your channel, of course, and YouTube and so forth.
Right off the bat, he's saying that he spent a lot of time watching Eric's channel, and you'll never guess where this video is posted, which means that he probably got to see Eric's terrible cell phone filmed rip-offs of the Night at the Museum movies, but hasn't seen all of the racism and the hell scams and the time that he once lost a debate to a 6th grader.
The proof of God is that without God, you can't know anything.
So you're saying if I don't know what one thing is, I don't know what everything is?
No, I'm saying if you don't know everything, then you can't know anything to be absolutely true.
So that means if I don't know everything, that means that I don't know if God exists.
You can't know anything. You can't even, you can't. The argument, and I'm sorry, Max, thanks for trying to get a, how old are you, buddy?
Just weighing the evidence, and you can go agnostic or whatever, but when you take a position as an atheist, it's a pretty strong position. It's either one way or the other. You're either an atheist or a theist.
I like how this guy straight up said, you could just say I don't know, but you really have to go one way or the other. You literally just described the third option and then said there was no third option. Just to be clear, these words do kind of suck. Gnosticism refers to knowledge, not necessarily a God claim. So strictly speaking, it would just be a modifier on theist or atheist. A Gnostic atheist would know that there is no God, and an agnostic theist could believe in a God without claiming knowledge. It's all super esoteric, and there's probably some linguist out there who has all the finer points about this, but in common parlance, agnostic just means you don't believe strongly one way or the other, and you're either looking for evidence or you just don't care. It's a totally fair position that serves either as an intermediary step for some people or a lifelong stance for other people. And this dude is just totally sweeping it under the rug to push Eric's narrative that everyone intuitively knows that there is a God, which is so ridiculous that it's difficult to tell whether it's rage bait or if he actually just lacks the fundamental ability to put himself in anyone else's shoes.
And I've just decided that it's just overwhelming that theism is the truth.
Decided based on what? Because despite what Eric Hovind thinks, ignorance is not evidence. Not understanding evolution or how complex natural systems come into being is not a reason to automatically believe in a higher power. And yet all I've ever seen from him, which fortunately isn't too much, is just mischaracterizations of science and baseless assertions that atheists are just mad at God. This video is super short and lacking in substance, so there's not really much more for me to say about it. So just to make sure that this clip was worth everybody's time, bacteria can do this really cool thing called horizontal gene transfer, which is where instead of just passing down genes from parent to offspring like we do, they can also shuffle them amongst themselves like trading cards. This rapidly speeds up evolution because they're basically doing genetic drift all within the same generation by seeing which genes help them survive and reproduce in real time. How cool is that? Anyway, enjoy the rest of the videos. Bye!
Good news, everyone. Giants are real.
Did you know that giants have been spotted in this mountain right here? In fact, they use this rock as a door.
Oh, yeah, so cool, man. Can't wait to see the footage of that.
It's said that in the last rays of daylight, one sunbeam will hit this window in the middle of the rock, open it up, and the giants will come out to wander around. Many people have seen them, but very few people have ever videoed them.
I mean, you're there with the camera, right? Can't we just wait till sunset and take a look?
But very few people have ever videoed them. Have you?
Why would I video them? I haven't seen them. Should we just go now? If all we have to do to see real living giants is wait a few hours, I'm game. So that was a bust. Let's see if somebody else has better proof.
Don't the structures inside these salt mines resemble human anatomy? Take a look at these chunks. Don't they look like meat? Like, really look at that and tell me you like meat.
I don't mean to sound accusatory, but how do you know what human meat looks like?
Giants really did roam this earth. They could have been extremely large.
I mean, what can I say? I agree with that. If giants existed, they probably would have been large. Ow. Just like, definitionally.
The theory goes, what if their bodies had turned to salt over time? And that's why some salt caves look like they have giant petrified bodies inside of them.
I'm struggling to find the link between this person thinking that these salt caves look like human meat and the caves containing petrified bodies. And why would it be just their meat that petrified?
That the giants were like punished and that's how they were petrified. There's also speculation that maybe they're still aging in their petrified state.
Was Lot's wife a giant? Is that where this theory comes from? Because I always imagined she just kind of scattered into the wind. I hate to urinate on your bonfire, but I was pretty sure it was just iron oxide getting trapped in the salt crystals as they form that gives it that cool colour. Unless I missed the day in school where we covered the human meat caves, I'm pretty sure that's all that is. I also don't know that I agree that that's the colour of human insides. It's a bit too orangey for me. And I had a camera in my bladder recently, so I would know. Thanks for having me.
Something that quite often happens when it comes to people having discussions is that there will be someone who misses the point. But unfortunately, when it comes to Ray Comfort, it seems that he's missed the point by not having the discussions.
Atheists will often point to God as being a warmonger in the Old Testament and say, God told Joshua to kill all the Canaanites. And there's a good comeback to atheists when they say that. You just say to them, did this actually happen? And they say, yes.
See what I mean? Because, Ray, did that actually happen? That does not sound like something an atheist would say. The response that most atheists would probably give in that situation is something along the lines of, probably not, but you're saying that it did.
So you're saying the Bible's right? And they say, no, it didn't happen. So what are you worried about then?
Well, I'm concerned about the fact that there's a character in the Bible who tells people to commit atrocities, and you're out here worshipping that character like he's real. Do you not see what we might be a little bit worried about?
Like getting upset because Cinderella's coach turned into a pumpkin at midnight. It's if it didn't happen, don't get upset.
Well, when it comes to Cinderella, I don't see people treating it as real. I don't see people using it as an excuse to overwork their stepsister to summon a fairy godmother. But if that were happening, don't you think that it would be understandable that people might complain a little bit about the events of Cinderella? But really, the irony here is that Ray Comfort is just talking about something that didn't actually happen, so don't get upset about it, Ray.
The reason you feel temptations for certain things and certain sins is very specific to what you're supposed to do.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense. Like how I want to drink all the whiskey because I'm supposed to drink all the whiskey. There's only one slight snag, though. I already did.
If you have the urge to smoke or damage your lungs, it's because your voice was made to worship.
What? There's so many things wrong with that. First off, you know that the vast majority of smokers can speak, right? You don't have one cigarette and your lungs fucking explode. And I'm pretty sure even if they did, and somehow you survived that, worship is worship. The people who lack or lose the ability to speak no longer get to praise their imaginary friend. That sounds like some gatekeepy bullshit to me, pal.
The enemy's trying to silence you that was meant to praise.
So does God not know you're praising him unless he can hear it? All those silent thoughts and prayers, they do nothing. I mean, of course, they always did nothing, but they were at least supposed to get to God's brain. Damn it. I guess you should actually do something about these problems instead.
If you have insecurity, it's because you're meant to lead and inspire. If you weren't dangerous to darkness, it wouldn't try to mute your confidence.
What? Insecurity isn't a temptation, you thick f***. No one is all like, you know what I fancy tonight? A bit of self-doubt and maybe a side of social anxiety. No one is tripping up on their be more confident diet and accidentally doing some self-loathing, which is a shame because if you did either of those things, you might not have said something so stupid in a public forum.
If you have constant distraction and procrastination, it's because you carry strategy, vision, and ideas from heaven. The enemy delays you because he can't stop you, only you can.
Or, you know, you have ADHD, like I probably do. It's really annoying because I'll be about to say something super important and profound and oh, look, a squirrel!
If you have an addiction to lust or pornography, it's because you carry a deep capacity for intimacy, covenant, and healing. Perverting love is how Satan prevents true restoration.
Oh no, Mum, I wasn't watching porn. I was expressing my deep ability to show intimacy and commitment to ass.
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and I critically analyze apologist claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. Today, we're going to be hearing about human rights from Matt Walsh, of all people.
Now, when the Supreme Court made the decision about Roe v. Wade, we were told that by the left, including many of them secular atheists, doesn't matter what the Supreme Court says, women have the right to abortion. What do you mean right? What are you appealing to exactly when you talk about this mystical right that exists? You're not appealing to God. What are you appealing to?
Well, you can easily appeal to reason and rationality in order to come to a pretty decent sense of what rights should be afforded to people, what rights should be protected. But more importantly, this aspect allows everybody to be able to attain it and not just people of one particular religion. Philosophers like Immanuel Kant have argued that the intrinsic value of individuals based on autonomy and rationality is a sufficient enough grounds for human rights, meaning that each person's ability to reason and act freely is what grants them moral respect and rights. And this is independent of any theological doctrine. Philosophers like John Locke, Rousseau, and Hobbes posited that human rights stem from rational agreements between individuals. The social contract model posits that rights are the result of the collective will and mutual recognition of people. There are also utilitarian and pragmatic justifications for human rights. This would be where we maximize well-being and minimize harm for everybody. Pragmatically speaking, the protection of human rights leads to more prosperous and stable societies. So when some dipshit like Matt Walsh asks you, where are you grounding this in? If it's not God, you can appeal to multiple different avenues in which to ground your concepts of human rights. You can go the reasonable and rational route like Immanuel Kant did. You can go with social contract theory like Locke, Rousseau, and Hobbes did. And finally, you can appeal to the utilitarian and pragmatic justifications for agreeing on human rights.
If you can only appeal to man, if you can only appeal to the government, then it's up to them what the rights are. And it doesn't make any sense. If the government says you have a right to this, it doesn't make any sense to say, no, that's not true.
It does make sense to say, no, that's not true. Like, no, you shouldn't have the right to lynch a black man from a tree. You shouldn't be afforded the right to prevent interracial marriage. Like, you shouldn't have those kinds of rights. That's the basic flow of any civilization that we've ever constructed. And Matt Walsh is just sitting there acting like, no, this is not how anything works. This is not how society works. When in reality, this is exactly how fucking society works.
You know, something I've always said is you should never be friends with or talk to anybody who isn't exactly like you. What, that's not right? Well, but I heard about it from the girl on Instagram. Me talking to my feminist friend, talking about her dream career and how successful she is and how much money she's making versus, like, first of all, what's wrong with having a successful career and making money as a woman? It feels pretty anti-feminist to act as though there's something inherently wrong with that or be like judgmental towards someone because they haven't chosen the same lifestyle as you. Versus me talking to my friend who also submits to her husband, loves baking homemade bread, and homeschools her 15 children. Whoa. There's so much wrong with this, but like 15? How would you possibly, I'm so confused, how would you possibly homeschool 15 children? Like, they're not all gonna be the same age. You basically have like a newborn and then preschool through early education through like middle school, high school. You're just doing all of that for all 15 of them at the same time. You think they're gonna, at the end of it, be able to like even read? I don't know. Who cares, as long as they can pray, right? And it's so funny that they try to fight feminism in this by being like, she's a feminist and has her own life versus me submitting to my husband. Isn't that better? And who says the working woman doesn't like homemade bread? Or what if that working woman also wants to have kids? Like, people look at me all the time, they're like, oh my gosh, you have all these feminist ideals and you're so like left-leaning, but you have kids and you're married? Like, what's with that? Marriage and children and like having a family is not a Republican conservative thing. But the fascinating part about that, right, is that I chose to do it, where you have limited choices. I mean, like, how did your husband even, does he know you're doing this video? Are you allowed? That's all feminism is. It does not rule out a family. It does not rule out kids. It doesn't rule out homeschooling. It doesn't rule out baking bread. Okay? It just rules out being forced into any of it. Is it that foreign of a concept to be happy for someone, even if what they're doing is different than what you want to do with your life? Also, it's giving a little bit of jealousy. I think it's pretty safe to say that when people are catty and mean, it might be because there's something else going on. Wish her the best, but it's not cute. It's not a good look. All right, let's be nice to people out there.
Hello, Skeptic here. We're about to see why some folks should really believe in gods.
If there is no creator, and we're just a collection of cells, who cares if you assassinate someone with a high-powered rifle?
Hang the on there, mister. Are you saying that you would do that if you didn't believe in a god? What the actual What's wrong with you?
Or that you abort them in the womb. If there's no divine designer, then we can and we should change our identities according to the whims of our age. Gender fluidity makes perfect sense in a world where there is no creator, there is no designer, and there is no purpose to life.
You're exactly right there. Or maybe he does get it.
If there's no heaven, there's no hell, no judgment day, no justice to come, vigilante justice is all that is left.
You might want to talk to lawmakers.
If the only things that are real are the things that we can see and that we can touch, then we all should eat and drink and be merry, because that is what life ultimately consists of.
Wait a moment. This was meant to be a negative. It started off terribly, but I see nothing wrong with 2/3 of this. Don't believe in a god and you're free to be who you want to be. And you can eat, drink and be merry. But if believing in a god means you don't go around MDKing people all the time because you feel like it, then you bloody well carry on believing, mate.
So I get asked sometimes, like, is there something that a Christian can do that an atheist can't morally?
Oh, this again, the morality, whatever you want to call it. Although I'm creaky, by the way, in case you didn't know me. And I'm also creaky if you do know me, so I don't even know why I said it. But this is just like saying, is there something a billionaire can buy that I can't? Well, yeah, they can buy a diamond-encrusted yacht. Therefore, I'm morally inferior.
There's something a Christian can do that an atheist can't morally.
No.
Imagine if I started a club, I don't know, called the High Moral Illuminati, or HMI for short, and the greatest moral act was to perform a triple axel while reciting the secret password backwards. If an atheist can't do it, it's not a moral failure. The atheist is not violating a universal moral law like don't steal, don't kill, or be kind. They are just failing to perform a culturally specific devotion. What you were saying is like saying an American can't follow the moral rules of the UK because you don't pay taxes to the UK government.
The atheist doesn't want to. He's not going to do it, and he can't do it.
Doesn't want to? Yeah, okay, fair enough. But can't? No, you're completely wrong. Of course we could, if we wanted to. But therein lies the key. We do not want to, nor do we feel the need to.
Hey everyone, JL here, and welcome back to Bridge the Divide. Looks like we've got yet another theist here claiming that their God exists. Let's see what he has to provide for us. Yeah, we get it. You think you have evidence. Seriously, how many takes of you sitting there in that chair, wagging your finger in the air at nothing with that Patrick Bateman look on your face did it take before you decided that was the right shot? So according to the Gospels, Jesus was crucified at an area outside of the walls of Jerusalem known as Golgotha, which was the Aramaic word for place of the skull. So what about it? Ooh, someone hasn't done their homework. Officially, no actual location has been determined to have been the site of the crucifixion, but biblical scholarship has traditionally narrowed it down to 2 potential sites. The first, and the one that is traditionally held to be the location, is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem's Old City. The site for the church was traditionally identified as being Golgotha, and the church itself was built there by Constantine in the 4th century. The second site, which is the one pictured here in this clip and is favored by the LDS and the Protestants, is known as Gordon's Calvary, which is a hill north of the Damascus Gate, also known as the Garden Tomb. This site was proposed as being Golgotha by British Major General Charles Gordon in 1883, and he identified it as such because of the skull-like rock formation visible in its side. Well, visible if you look at the hill from the appropriate angle. But despite those 2 claims, there is also the possibility that under the leadership of Emperor Hadrian, the original site known as Golgotha may have been entirely covered up by the construction of the Temple of Venus, or it may have been completely destroyed altogether in the Roman efforts to quarry stone from that area. The point here is no one actually knows where the site of Golgotha was, or even if it still exists today. So the images just displayed there are of the Garden Tomb, and as you can see, the city of Jerusalem has managed to turn it into quite the tourist trap. But just like the proposed sites for Golgotha, the Garden Tomb is traditionally held to be the tomb in which Jesus' body was interred, but it has not been officially confirmed to be the location. Nonetheless, I think it's plainly obvious that this little short was created solely to sell believers their validation back to them, and I think that the very existence of a cottage industry designed only to reinforce indoctrination while simultaneously shutting down or flatly ignoring any kind of critical evaluation is a massive red flag, and one can only do themselves and others an enormous disservice if they choose to ignore that. Be safe, be excellent to each other. I'll see you next time.
All right, that was the video, Super Atheist Friends. I think we need a part 2 because this was a lot of work, but a lot of fun. Please click on every single one of these creators and subscribe to them. Links all in the description below. Watch their collab videos. There is a clip of me in every single one, and I discuss amazing things like demonic tampons, the rapture, weird Christian parenting, how women's bodies just belong to men or were just meant for making babies, freestyling for Jesus, speaking in tongues, Starbucks is of the devil, and how we can use the Holy Spirit for telekinesis. That one gets spicy at the end. Yeah, shout out to every single channel who was a part of this. Thank you guys for including me and participating in this. This was so fun. Thank you to The Skeptic for organizing all of this. Y'all are all amazing, and I just know all of my subscribers are gonna subscribe to you. And if you guys are here from one of their videos, hi, subscribe to me too, so I can see you in the next one. All right, bye.